This is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education or college degree. And that includes my very special guest today, Jeremy, who went from risking his life as a cable repairman up in the trees to now making a very healthy salary and no longer risking his life every day. Thanks so much for being here, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So what we usually do is let's tell people a little bit about the job that you have right now, and then we'll walk people through how you went from no experience to getting into this career.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, I work for a digital advertising firm in Irvine, and we basically advertise for national clients across the country with all kinds of verticals like propane, energy, insurance, and lots of different channels as well. I specialize in Google Ads, but I also run some Facebook as well. So very excited where I am right now, and lots of opportunities are coming in as well.
Yeah, you were telling me when we were chatting before that you stopped updating your LinkedIn, and why is that?
Oh yeah, I just stopped updating my LinkedIn just because I get so many offers. I don't really like recruiters to be kind of shopping around, what my average salary might be, because sometimes they try to give you the lowest offer. So just a little strategy of mine to get the best offer I can.
So you mean you don't want them to see what company you work at, because they'll do some research and say, oh, this is what that company pays, and then they won't give you the best offer. But in general, I think it's funny. You're like the hot person on the dating site. You're like, I just don't want to deal with all these recruiters coming after you, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is great. Great feeling.
And you were telling me before, what is the average ad spend of these clients that you're managing?
So I have a book of about 6 clients, and then each one is a little over 100,000 per month. So overall, it's about 600K in ad spend that I manage.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and can you give us just a general sense of your salary at this point?
Right now, I'm somewhere between 65 to 80,000.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And this is after, as we said, you don't have a college degree. And now let's tell people a little about how you got into the field and how you discovered the course and started your journey. So what were you doing when you found my course?
So when I found your course, I had just gotten laid off and took a data entry job for minimum wage. And I was just Googling every day, careers without a college degree, and your videos popped up. Eventually, I decided to give it a shot. And what I basically did is I worked my way up from a data entry specialist to a web content specialist. And then I took a job at another agency where I basically got in as a Google Ads specialist for about $19 an hour. So that's for training. Training's wage was $19.
So let's walk people through this with a little more detail. First of all, before you got laid off, I mentioned in the beginning, what was your job for the last, how many years? You told me you worked this job for a few years. What were you doing?
Yeah, it was almost 4 years. I was a cable guy, so I basically would climb up those telephone poles and try not to get electrocuted and string up people's cables for their internet and phone. And I was thinking that was going to be my job to retirement, that I was just going to do that. And then I got laid off, and I just took an entry level job as a data entry specialist, and then took your course, and a month later I was doing Google Ads. So
That's really fantastic.
yeah.
So you were just because it's always kind of interesting what people were doing before. How much were you getting paid at the cable as a cable guy?
As a cable guy, I think it was like 16 or $17 an hour. Not much to risk your life, but it was enough to live on. So
Wow.
yeah.
Paying you $16 an hour, which is now barely more than minimum wage, to climb these poles and like risk, falling down or getting electrocuted. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was after raises too. I think I started at minimum wage. So
Wow.
yeah.
Which at the time was much less than it is now, I'm sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so then you walk me. So then you took an entry level job as in data entry. Just again, before you found the course, you didn't have any of these skills, and then you How much were you making as a data entry person?
Data entry was back to minimum wage. So I kind of took a step back, went to minimum wage, but luckily the company I worked for had a web content department. So I kind of worked my way up to there. And that experience combined with the course and the experience I learned in the course kind of helped me get an offer at a marketing agency where I started my Google ads. So just
So
kind of all fell into place.
that's amazing. Well, that's really cool that company you're able to piece together your own experience, which is what I recommend all my students do and how they have success. But so it sounds to me like what was the timeline from when you finished the course to you got that first job?
So I finished the course, and exactly 1 month later, I got the job doing Google Ads at the new agency, and I went from minimum wage to $19 an hour. And then 6 months later, I got a raise to $25 an hour. So it was awesome.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. You're getting paid, a lot more. As we've said, I'll say this a few times, to not risk your life
Yeah,
sitting in an office.
exactly.
So tell people a little bit about, well, first of all, you sent me a message when you got that job. You were very happy. And it was very interesting because you were one of the few people that did not have a college degree. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Everybody I worked with on that team had at least a bachelor's. I think my boss had a master's in like communications, and I had no college degree, not even associates.
And was that a problem for you? Did it hold you back in any way?
Not at all. It didn't even come up in the first interview. And then for the job I have now, I disclosed up front that I didn't have a college degree because I didn't want to waste time being disqualified for not having a college degree, and they didn't care at all. So
As they shouldn't. You're
yeah,
managing,
exactly.
you're managing, more than $500,000 in somebody's ad spends every month. And this is what
Exactly.
people need to get through their heads. I repeat it again and again. Again, it's like you've been brainwashed to believe this degree has value. It's like, who are you going to hire? The kid that spent 4 years at frat parties and taking classes, from old professors and has never touched an ad, or the guy who has managed ads? You're gonna,
Exactly.
yeah. And also, just speaking into that a little more, you talked with some of your coworkers. What was it like for them working at this job with their degrees and all that debt? I think you told me you had some insight into that.
Yeah, so like some of my coworkers, it was interesting that they had degrees and they were stuck with at least 10, 20, $30,000 of debt. And I actually, after 6 months, I was making, significantly more than several of them just based off my performance, because they give raises off of return on ad spend and how many clients you keep, and I had the highest client satisfaction. So just the fact that I was really hungry and like worked super hard, I actually ended up making more than all of my peers in that position. And then I decided it was time to move on.
That's awesome. And what was there's a couple, well, there's a lot of really good things I could talk to about in that what you just said. What about well, first of all, I have to speak to what you said, because a lot of people do write to me. They're like, "Whoa, am I going to not get promoted because I don't have a degree? Am I not going to make as much because I don't have a degree?" It's just a complete myth, guys. I mean, there's some fields, like if you get into I have a buddy who's like not in social work exactly, he's like a counselor, like a rehab counselor, and he is in a field where if you have a master's degree, you get paid more. He's getting his master's degree. And that's a very specific field. But like the rest of the world, it's all about money. So it's like true. Like, who are you going to pay more, guys? You going to pay the guy that's bringing in clients and making you more money, or are you going to pay this other person more? Oh, well, you have a bachelor's degree in English, so let's give you more money. No, you got to think for yourself. You can't like just take what your teachers are saying for truth. And also, just to drive this home, since it's such a great story, what did you talk with your peers about what it was like to have all that debt, like psychologically, in terms of like their lives? I remember you mentioning that to me.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like a lot of them, they're kind of like stuck. They couldn't really like move out or go on vacation even when they had vacation time or things like that, because they had that, $300 or $400 or $500 bill every month that can never be forgiven through like bankruptcy or anything. Whereas like myself, like I'm fortunate enough that I just bought a new car. I got to go to vacation in Portland, Oregon, which I've never been able to do before. So yeah, for them, it was just a lot of stress. And for me, it was kind of like, I got to focus on the job, and really I had no problems outside of the job, which was great. I go home and do whatever I want, pursue my hobbies. I'm into photography. So, buy new cameras and new lenses and gear. That's pretty much an afterthought. I don't even have to budget for my hobbies anymore. I can just go do them.
That's amazing, dude. You
Mm-hmm.
speak, it's like, I'm really happy you're bringing this up. It's one of these are some of the finer points that people don't mention about the damage done by colleges. I talk about debt. It seems very abstract, but when you're starting out, when you're in your 20s and you're just starting to.
Hey, Seth, your audio is breaking up a little bit.
Oh yeah, I see that too. I'll just pause it here and hold on. Yeah, you're frozen. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your image. Oh, there you are. I can see you now.
I'll just zoom in. Yeah, guys, I just, said, let me start again. Yeah, guys, this is a great point just to kind of make this real for people. I talk a lot about student debt and the damage that college does to people. And it's that extra $300, $400, $500 a month. Some people are paying $1,000 a month to student loans. And that's money that you don't have to pay for your rent or your car insurance or your car payment, all the stuff that you got to deal with as an adult. And that's terrible. Some people are paying these off every month for years, 20, 30 years with interest, and they're paying more than what they borrowed. And that's one of the sad things about the illiteracy, financial illiteracy that's happening with the young people when they're, pressured to take out these loans. So you can see, guys, skip college for success. Jeremy is an incredible example of just the peace of mind that you have when you just don't burden yourself with this stuff. What, I didn't ask this before, but now I'm just curious. You see, obviously an intelligent guy. Why did you choose to not go to college back then?
Actually, I got admitted into 3 colleges: USC, Cal State Long Beach, and I think the other was Cal State Fullerton. So I got into 3 different colleges, or accepted, but I didn't go because I pretty much realized right away that I couldn't even qualify for the loans for college because I come from a single parent household. So my mom wasn't able to sign for the loans. We've always been kind of working class family. I was working since I was 14 at like McDonald's or any little fast food job I could get to pay the rent. So we definitely couldn't afford loans for college. So even though I got accepted and definitely qualified on the academic level, I just couldn't pay for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you mean, and I'm just curious because I see this happen with a lot of middle-class people, is they qualify for these loans and then it destroys them later. You mean you didn't even qualify to get the loans?
Correct. Yeah. We didn't even make enough to get the loans. And then
Wow.
we made just enough to not qualify for, like a full ride scholarship and things like that. So,
right. And that's
that's
so funny how the system works too, in so many ways. It's like, oh, you're not quite poor enough.
Exactly.
But ultimately a blessing. I mean, if you had qualified for loans, you probably would you have taken them?
100%, because that's what everybody who, any mentor I ever had, mostly teachers, right? They all told me, hey, you're going to be a professor one day, because I had straight A's in high school. I graduated with a 4.2 GPA. So everybody was like, you're going to do great in college. And then when I wasn't able to get in because of money, I was kind of devastated for a couple years. But then I was just determined to make something happen anyways. And I think that determination is what has really helped me get where I am today, in addition to all the skills in your course.
And now looking back, how do you feel about what happened with you not being able to go?
Yeah, now it really is kind of a blessing. Like I really look back and I'm like, I pretty much, I'm pretty secure. Like even if I lose my job for some odd reason, I have offers come in every week. So I don't even solicit offers or apply to jobs. They just come in to my LinkedIn or my email or my website, which I set up for, client consultations, which I didn't even mention. I do, my own private client work on the side. So there's always extra streams of revenue.
And that's awesome. God, there's so much we could say about that. But as far as your clients go, can you talk like how many clients do you have, or can you give us a sense of how much extra on top of your salary, how much revenue you're bringing in? Or you don't have to
Sure.
disclose that if you don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, my clients are kind of revolving because since I'm sort of new to generating my own leads for my own business, it's kind of an experiment that I just started in the last, I would say, 8 months. But I would say on a good month, I bring in about $3,000 extra, and like this month, I brought in like $1,000 extra. So it fluctuates, but it's always at least $1,000 extra, and it's for maybe. I mean, I work 2 hours additional. And I only do that 3 days a week. So it's not even that much more work. And I have plenty of extra money. And that's actually come in handy a lot because with with the pandemic and everything, there's like family who may need help. And so now I can actually do that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. What would you have paid now, given what you have experienced now? What would you have paid for this course?
I don't know. I almost don't want to tell you because then the courses might go up.
Now, I know what it's worth, and I know that I'm charging much
Yeah.
less than I put in there, but I'm just curious, based on your real experience, what would you have paid if you knew that all the
Yeah.
stuff that was going to happen would happen?
I think that with confidence, I can say it's easily worth at least $10,000. If you look at a trade school or a tech school that takes 6 months to a year, they're like $10,000 or $15,000, right? Maybe more now. I don't know. I haven't been looking at trade schools for a long time, but if this, I literally spent a month learning it, and then a month later, I got a job with a really good raise. So that time is worth a lot to me because every month that I spent learning that kind of increased my value on the market. And, I have about 3 years in now, and the opportunities are just, I can't believe they're getting better and better. Like I'm getting more and more offers, getting the opportunity to be my own boss, maybe even if my client list keeps growing, which to me is the most exciting prospect, is the idea of controlling my own destiny by being my own boss. That's the number one thing that I'm looking forward to.
Very well said, Jeremy. Thank you for that. And I
Yeah, of
appreciate you
course.
saying that. I mean, that's what everybody who's done the course and gone through it, acknowledges. And as I've said, I've always underpriced it, and it's worked for me. But because I understand, like, the people I want to help are people like in your situation who don't have a ton of money to begin with. But I put it at that price point, 500. I was like, that is attainable, because what are millions of people buying right now? They're all,
TVs.
and PlayStation 5
Hmm.
is going to blow up, and that costs $500. And I'm really saying, like, this is a really good price point because it says, first of all, it's like half of Udacity's, which doesn't have the same number of testimonials. It's a fraction of Digital Marketing Institute. It's 1% of a class at Full Sail, right? It's already that cheap. But people are walking around saying, I can't afford this. I'm like, I know you're getting a PS5, like a lot of you guys. Actually,
Yeah.
I just had a student. I was really proud of him because he was really serious about wanting to change his life. And he writes to me and he's like, Seth, I sold my PlayStation 4 and I enrolled in your course. I was like, that's awesome, dude. And
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to, but I actually had the same exact thing when I took your course. I sold all my video games that I had, and because I was like, I'm not going to have time to play these games anyways. But that's the mindset I had. Is I'm like, what do I need these games for if I'm going to actually go for it, right? So I sold it all, and so that got me the price of the course. I
That's
didn't really
awesome.
have to, yeah, you didn't have to go into debt to get the course, just sell
That's
a
the
couple
thing.
things. Yeah.
That's the thing. And it doesn't happen that often, but I'm like, dude, if this is like, I mean, I'm making this so cheap. I mean, you know, you go to NYU and you pay $7,000 to like read Shakespeare, and I'm charging $500. And that's the other thing I would say personally. It's funny you mentioned that. I just bought a PlayStation a couple months ago. I haven't played video games in 10 years. And I was like, these were the 10 years where my whole life changed, where I started making more money, where I got into digital marketing. I started making six figures. I started traveling. I made this course, connected with all these people. And during those 10 years, I never played video games. I never took time for myself to recreate.
Right.
So now I was like, dude, you did it. It's okay to buy a PS4 and spend a couple hours playing a stupid game. But a lot of
Yeah.
people out there are like they're broke and they're still playing the video games. I'm like, dude, I think that's a great mindset. Put the video games away, focus on building your skills in your career, making money for a period of time. And then when you get your job and you get that raise, you can buy the next system.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, my plan is to just build my own PC,
Oh,
I
okay.
got, yeah, I got to get the best graphics now.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Are you a gamer? Do you play?
I haven't been for the last 3 years. Like I said, I've been pretty busy now, but now that actually, strangely enough, the more you get paid, the more free time you get. So that's a weird thing that a lot of people don't realize. But now that I have more free time, I'm definitely looking to get into more of my hobbies, like video games. I also do photography, and I like to ride my bike and stuff like that, go hiking. So lots of different hobbies that I'm now free to do.
Perfect, man. I'm happy
Yeah.
for you. Well said. So, all right, guys. Well, this has been great. I think we have a lot of material here to share. I hope this has been inspiring. Again, if you have comments or questions, leave them underneath the video. Thanks so much for being here, Jeremy, and sharing your story with us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.